Tonight, farmers in the state charged to adopt good agronomic practices. Results of the receipt examination for the 2024 Basic Education Certificate Examination is released. Transmission Company of Nigeria promises backup system in face of persistent national grid collapse. And abroad, flood ravaged over 1 million people in South Sudan. A very good evening to you. Thank you for joining us on the Delta Television Main News at 8. Joy Uche is my name. Thank you for joining us. Farmers in the state have been advised to make gardens and adopt good agronomic practices in their environment. A senior project specialist, TechnoServe Nigeria, a non-governmental organization, Mr. Kasim Omiyale, gave advice during a training session on the importance of apple farming and consumption, organized for students of Martin's College, Iseluku, in Anyacha North local government area. Henry Onogwa reports.
Mr. Omiyale said the training was part of activities marking Global Apple Day and to enlighten farmers in the rural areas on fruits and vegetable farming, including apple planting in communities who are interested in acquiring knowledge on good agronomic practices. He noted that apple was one of the world's most beloved fruits, adding that its celebration served as a reminder of the importance of apple cultivation, biodiversity, and sustainable farming practices, and commended the female farmers in Iseluku community for indicating interest in apple farming. Mr. Omiyale said the TechnoServe Horticulture project had deployed proven innovative solutions to address food security challenges in the state.
The project is all about teaching us on how to grow nutritious foods like fruits and vegetables. So how we will grow fruit in our backyard so that there will be enough fruits for us to eat.
It is a myth that apple cannot grow here. Apple and most of other fruits can still grow here. And our message is that people should be ready to adopt good agronomic practices and also try as much as possible to have a small garden behind their house so that they can also consume what they produce.
Mr. Franklin Ubaja, in his lecture, educated the students and listed the benefits of apple consumption to include nourishment of the body, control of sugar level, and digestion problems.
Apple also helps to control the sugar level in your body.
Some of the beneficiaries expressed satisfaction with the training.
I thank God for the National World Apple Day that came to our school. They have encouraged us and how we eat apple.
We learned how you wash your hand, how apple nourish our body, how it supply things for us.
I want to say thank you to the organizers.
The event featured training on hand washing before consuming apple and the presentation of writing materials to the students. Henry Onogwa reporting.
Well, as the world marks World Apple Day, Nigerians have been advised to imbibe the habit of cultivating fruits and vegetables, especially apples, in their gardens and farms. The advice came from residents who spoke with Henry Onogwa on the socio-economic benefits of apple.
Apple Day is celebrated annually on October 21, providing an opportunity to indulge in apple-related activities. Some of the respondents describe apple as a good source of fiber and vitamin C, as they contain antioxidants like vitamin E and polyphenols, contributing to the fruit's numerous health benefits.
Okay, I believe apple is a source of vitamin. It's also a vitamin and it's good for nutrients in the body. It keeps you away from all these petty sickness that you can have. It gives you the strength to be able to go about your daily activities.
Apple also helps to control the sugar levels in your body.
Others said the National Apple Day celebration was to demonstrate the richness and the diversity of apples all over the world, adding that the day allowed people to support sustainable agriculture.
We are celebrating the National Apple Day is just to commemorate the celebration that happens every 21st, and we want to enlighten the students on what apple does for the body, which is the aspect of the nutritional value it adds to their food, because of course we know apple falls under vitamin.
Other speakers said apples were grown for sales and for commercial activities, including preparing of fruit salad, apple sauce, and apple butter, adding that apple farmers could also generate funds from the business. They confirmed that apples could be grown in the state and in the country in general when the planting process was followed correctly, explaining that after planting of seeds, grafting should be applied using other existing species.
It can, when it's given the attention that is needed, it definitely can do well here in Delta State.
Apple trees can tower up to 30 feet, but are generally 6 to 15 feet in height when cultivated. The environmental and sustainability of fruit trees in our society cannot be undermined, following its role in enhancing our environment. For Delta TV, I am Henry Onogwa.
The results of the receipt examination for the 2024 Basic Education Certificate Examination, BECE, conducted in the state on Saturday, September 28, have been released. A statement from the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education, Mr. Augustine Ohoro, said 7,140 students registered for the examination. Out of the number, 1,662 were absent from the examination. The statement clarified that 5,184 candidates passed the examination, while 294 failed and would repeat JSS 3 class. It advised affected candidates to check the results online using the scratch card they used in registering for the examination. Seplat Energy has reaffirmed its commitment towards supporting initiatives that empowered youths and uplift their host communities. This was disclosed by the Managing Director, Seplat West, Seplat Energy PLC, Mr. Ayodele Olatunde, at the graduation ceremony and empowerment of the Seplat Skill Acquisition Training Scheme beneficiaries held in Sapele local government area. The report.
Mr. Olatunde says Seplat believes in the transformative power of education and skills, and the belief has been the drive in their commitment to initiatives that promote capacity building, entrepreneurship, and sustainable development within its host communities. The Seplat Managing Director, represented by Mr. Stanley Okbara, revealed that the Skills Acquisition Training Scheme was one of its flagship programs aimed at unlocking potentials, providing opportunities, and fostering a culture of self-reliance among youths and women in their host communities. He noted that the 2023 NEPL and Seplat Energy Skill Graduation and Empowerment, with the theme Harnessing Skills for Sustainable Growth and Community Development, was to build a brighter and more prosperous future for all.
Today's event is a testament to what can be achieved when corporate entities, communities, and individuals come together within a shared vision. The skills you have gained are not just tools for personal advancement, but are also key drivers for economic growth within our communities. I encourage you all to remain steadfast, innovative, and diligent as we begin this new chapter.
The Group Chief Executive Officer of the Nigeria National Petroleum Corporation Limited, NNPCL, Mr. Mele Kyari, represented by Mrs. Faith Otitino, said The goal of the program was to equip beneficiaries with marketable skills and foster sustainability development in their communities.
This initiative demonstrates our commitment to empower the people who have graciously hosted our operations, especially the youth. By investing in your human capital, we are investing in the future of our nation.
Commissioning the starter packs, Chief Margaret Unukegu thanks Seplat Energy for the training and empowerment. She said the starter pack was a new beginning for the beneficiaries and admonished them not to trade it for anything on earth.
I appreciate you, the trainers. Now for Seplat, NEP, to have put in so much effort to train you to this day when you are graduating and are ready to give you the certificate and starter pack. It will be very unfair to them if you go out from here and sell your starter pack.
Some beneficiaries in an interview also expressed appreciation to Seplat Energy for the starter pack, promising to use it to better themselves.
They tried a lot for us.
The beneficiaries trained on various skills, including welding and fabrication, fashion and design, catering and computer technology, were later presented with certificates and starter pack.
Delta Broadcasting Service (DBS) Asaba held the maiden edition of its Monday prayer session at the station premises. The prayer session is designed to seek God's blessings upon the station. Violet Moye reports.
In his brief exhortation, Pastor Ephraim Jacob of the Global Christian Church, Asaba, in his message titled "The Hand of a Prophet on Man's Life," explained the pivotal role a prophet plays in bringing salvation and transformation to the life of those around him. Pastor Jacob, who took his text from 1 Samuel chapter 19 verse 20, emphasized that the spirit of a prophet was contagious, spreading divine energy and aspiration. The cleric further stressed that a genuine prophet of God in the life of anyone could make them whole, adding that the power of God in a prophet could also shatter chains of limitation as well as bring freedom and restoration.
Every beginning has to do with God. You need to bring God to your value system. You need to bring God to whatever that you are doing.
The General Manager of the Delta Broadcasting Service, Asaba, Mrs. Christine Jobome Emetulu, thanked God for the opportunity to start the weekly Monday prayer section, while encouraging staff of the organization to work in unity, adding that working together would bring productivity and success.
We cannot over pray, we can only under pray. And organizations are not built by machines. Organizations are built by individuals, by the human capital. And that is why it is important that we stand strong, that we walk in the wisdom of God, that we walk in excellence, that we walk in unity and harmony, that we work together so that we can be productive.
The prayer section featured prayer for the organization and anointing of the DBS Asaba premises and staff by Pastor Jacob. Violet Moye reporting.
Despite the spirited attempt by the Anambra State Governor, Professor Chukwuma Soludo, to end sit-at-home palaver to the extent of threatening traders, banks, schools and others who fail to open for business on Mondays, it has degenerated. The issue of compliance, which has not yielded reasonable results, got worse today, following a trending video circulating on social media warning residents of the southeast to remain indoors today and tomorrow, saying that those days had been declared sit at home. Although the indigenous people of Biafra IPOB has asked Southeast residents to ignore any declaration of seat at home today and tomorrow, insisting that the order did not emanate from them, ended up falling on deaf ears. Reports said the trending video ignited the renewed fear and tension resulting in number state official engagements fixed for those days have either been put on hold or rescheduled. It was reported that cases earlier scheduled for the 2 days at various courts were discovered to have been rescheduled. Similarly, there was a notice notifying parents and students about the postponement of activities, which was also displayed in one of the schools visited in Onitsha. Apart from the official engagements rescheduled, there was also panic buying yesterday in major markets across the cities, as engaging in last-minute transactions to avoid being stranded. In his action, the IPOB's spokesman, Ima Powerful, was reported saying that IPOB did not declare any seat-at-home order today and tomorrow. The legal order from criminal elements and Finland-based infiltrators who are not our members. The Minister of Power, Mr. Adebayo Adelabu, has said that private entities will need up to 750 naira to generate 1 kilowatt-hour of electricity because of the high cost of petrol. Mr. Adelabu said power generation would cost 950 naira per kilowatt-hour for those using diesel-powered engines. These, he argued, are more expensive than the 209 naira per kilowatt being paid by Band A customers. Speaking at a recent function in Lagos, the minister emphasized that though customers were kicking against the Band A tariff, they knew it was still cheaper compared to generating their own power with petrol or diesel. Mr. Adelabu hinted that the increase in revenue of the power distribution companies was described as an additional burden on the customers by the media, adding that it was just a reallocation of resources from fuel. The Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, has promised a backup or buffer system to ensure that Nigerians won't be thrown into blackouts whenever the national grid collapses. TCN Managing Director Mr. Sule Abdulaziz stated this during a television program. He blamed aged infrastructure as old as 50 years for the frequent grid collapses in the country. Abdulaziz said presently they are doing the scatter system for the whole network and it is funded by the World Bank, and the project will take 2 years to be completed with 70% of the project done. The TCN boss said the investment in critical electricity generation and transmission infrastructure must be continuous. He said Nigerians are paying more for power because electricity production is not easy, and that citizens on Band A now enjoy 24-hour electricity, a claim many residents would contest. Mr. Abdulaziz said despite the electricity tariff hike, power in Nigeria has remained cheaper than what is obtainable in neighboring Chad, Mali, Burkina Faso, and other African countries. Despite a previous exemption of the telecom sector from the 5% excise duty approved by former President Muhammadu Buhari, National Assembly has revived the push for its implementation. The National Assembly has proposed a 5% excise duty on telecommunications services, gaming, betting, and lottery activities in the country. On July 6, 2023, President Bola Tinubu signed 4 executive orders, one of which suspended the 5% excise tax on telecommunication services to mitigate the adverse effects of tax increases on businesses and households. However, an executive bill titled Nigeria Tax Bill 2024 seeks to reintroduce this excise duty. According to the bill, the excisable transaction amount will be based on the service provider's charge, whether in monetary terms or equivalent value. The bill stated that services, including telecommunications, gaming, gambling, betting and lotteries, however described, provided in Nigeria, shall be subject to excise duties at rates specified under the 10th schedule to this Act in a manner prescribed by the service. Additionally, the bill includes provisions related to currency exchange transactions involving the naira. It mandates that such transactions must not exceed the prevailing exchange rate at the official markets as authorized by the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN. In cases where the exchange rate of a transaction exceeds the official market rate, the excess amount will be payable as excise duty by the seller, assessed on a self-assessment basis under the Nigeria Tax Administration Act. Non-Academic Staff Union of Educational and Associated Instructions, NASO, has advised the federal government to halt the increasing petrol price and free fall of the nation's currency to avert looming mass revolt. President of NASO, Dr. Makolo Hassan, who gave advice at the union's National Executive Council NEC meeting in Abuja, lamented that the escalating cost of fuel further drove up transportation and production costs, creating a ripple effect that worsened inflation. He said Nigeria's abundant crude oil, which should have been a blessing, has instead made the nation's economy highly vulnerable to fluctuations in global oil prices. Two weeks in action embarked on by the staff of the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, the Director General of the agency, Professor Mojisola Adeyeye, has appealed to the striking staff unions to return to work in the interest of the nation. The industrial action, which began on October 7, 2024, has entered its second week, disrupting critical regulatory functions and posing potential risk to public health and safety. Despite several meetings between the management and union leadership, the issues that led to the strike remain unresolved. Making the appeal in a press statement entitled Ongoing Strike Action in NAFDAC by the Medical and Health Workers Union of Nigeria needs to return to work, Professor Adeyeye highlighted the significant public health responsibilities of NAFDAC and the negative impact the strike is having on the agency's reputation and revenue. She also expressed concerns about the potential impact on staff allowances. Professor Adeyeye outlined the key issues raised by the unions and the efforts the management has made to address them, including promotion of staff, which she said the management has written to the head of service for expansion of vacancies to facilitate promotion of all candidates who scored 60 marks and above in the NAFDAC 2024 promotion exercise. Also on implementation of the 2022 agreement, she explains that the SGF has written to the Minister of Finance to approve hazards, productivity and regulatory allowances for NAFDAC staff using user fees. On the issue of training school, NAFDAC DG said the management is committed to revisiting the on-site training school in Kaduna, as well as assure the staff that all outstanding payment of benefits, such as claims for repatriation, burial expenses, and life insurance benefits will be paid. Other demands include casualizing drivers. She said the management is working to absorb all casual drivers as recruitment approvals are received. Draft legislative bill seeking to protect Nigeria's raw materials processing and local production has passed the first reading at the Senate. A statement by the Director, Corporate Affairs of Raw Materials Research and Development Council, RMRDC, Mr. Chuks Ngaha, noted that the bill, if passed into law, will chart the pathway to industrial growth and development in Nigeria, the statement said. A draft legislative bill sponsored by Senator Peter Ebonyi North seeks to fortify Nigeria's local manufacturing sector, reduce dependency on imports, and ensure sustainable economic development through the promotion of local processing and value addition to the nation's raw materials resources. It also seeks to promote domestic processing while ensuring that no raw materials are exported from Nigeria without undergoing a minimum of 30% processing, thereby fostering value addition within the country. On protection of local industries, the legislative bill seeks to prohibit importation of raw materials that are available for local production, safeguard local manufacturers from unfair competition, and encourage the growth of the domestic industry. The bill emphasized that no raw material shall be exported from Nigeria without certification by the Council, confirming that the materials have undergone the required processing. On import prohibition, the bill indicates that no raw materials can be processed or produced locally and shall be imported into Nigeria, and that the Federal Ministry of Trade and Investment, in consultation with RMRDC, shall compile and maintain a list of raw materials that are locally available for local production, and exercise shall be subject to periodic review. The Nigerian Army has debunked reports circulating in the media that a Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja, has died. Several reports originating from a social media post by Nigerian journalists announcing the death of the Army Chief went viral yesterday. A journalist claims that Lagbaja had died of cancer 48 hours ago. Reacting to the post on X, the Nigerian Army marks it as fake news. However, sources at the Army headquarters confirmed that the Army Chief was critically ill. The development came as no fewer than 15 generals of the Nigerian Army bowed out of service. The retired generals are from the Artillery Corps of the service. Meanwhile, the Defense Headquarters DHQ has issued a stern warning to individuals or groups advocating for a military takeover in Nigeria, emphasizing that such actions are treasonable under the Constitution. The military reaffirmed its loyalty to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration and its commitment to upholding democracy in the country. In a statement issued by Brigadier General Tuko Gusau, Director of Defense Information, DHQ made it clear that the armed forces of Nigeria remain focused on their statutory duties, which include protecting the nation's territorial integrity and ensuring peace and security. Brigadier General Gusau noted that a relative peace being enjoyed in the country is as a result of the President's support for the military and the dedication of the armed forces leadership. He reassured Nigerians that the military, in collaboration with other security agencies, will take all necessary measures to prevent any attempts at unconstitutional change. The Chief of Defense Staff, CDS, expressed gratitude to Nigerians for their continued support and prayers, assuring the public that victory against any threats to the nation's democracy is certain. The DHQ's statement comes amidst concerns raised by a viral video advocating for military intervention, an issue the military has now firmly addressed. Still to come on the Delta Television main news at 8. Over 1 million people in South Sudan. Details shortly. Stay with us.
What happens when greed meets desperation?
Yeah.
How far would you go to get what you want?
Even my life is even on the line. So please, help me so that we can get out of this all. How could you do this to me?
A gripping movie inspired by a true life story.
Maybe you could consider other options.
You think I've not done that?
Experience the twist, the betrayal, and the thrill that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Get ready for the movie. The Inside Enemy. The Inside Enemy dropping on Delta TV YouTube channel on November 1 at 9 p.m. prompt. Don't miss it.
See this baby, why should they do younger like this?
And see me so, I don't become 10x of the woman when I did before. Berekete 10x.
Make you enjoy 10 times your recharge, double data, and other vitamins on top, voice calls, IG, TikTok, audio and video streaming, Zoom calls, and other better things them. Dial *301#.
You never finish, 1,000 naira welcome bonus for voice and data.
You mean all this thing for Berekete 10x?
Full for the enjoyment.
Is your line blocked? You can get your line unblocked free, fast and easy. Quickly go to any Glow World shop or SIM registration center near you and link your NIN to your Glow line right now. Got no NIN? Visit the nearest NIMC office, get an NIN, and then link it to your Glow line. NIN registration is free, so reconnect with Glow today.
Thank you for staying on. You are watching the Delta Television main news. The United Nations Humanitarian Organization, OCHA, has said over 1 million people in South Sudan have been affected by floods across much of the country. More than a quarter of those, mainly in the north, have been forced from their homes by rising waters. It said the displaced were seeking refuge on higher ground, but the rains had also meant that getting aid to those who need it had become increasingly difficult. This was one of the worst flood seasons that South Sudan, a country with a population of more than 11 million people, had experienced in recent decades. Zambia's President Hakainde Hichilema has now sacked 3 top judges he previously suspended over alleged judicial misconduct, drawing further accusations of political interference in the judiciary. The 3 Constitutional Court judges presided over a presidential petition in 2016, in which they dismissed Hichilema's challenge against the election victory of former President Edgar Lungu. They also took part in a controversial ruling allowing Lungu to stand in the 2021 elections, despite having twice served as Zambia's president. The dismissal is coming after they lost a court application for a review of a judicial panel's decision recommending their suspension. A statement released by the presidency said they had been removed with immediate effect following a recommendation by the Judicial Complaints Commission. The 3 judges, Justice Annie Sitali, Justice Mungini Mulunga, and Justice Palan Mulundu, have not publicly commented on the matter as at the time of filing the report. Let's now join our business news desk for happenings in the business sector.
According to figures released by the Central Bank of Nigeria, Nigeria's external reserves grew by $2.92 billion over a 3-month period, rising from $36.01 billion by July 19, 2024 to $38.93 billion by October 19, 2024. This represents a significant growth of 8.1%, highlighting an improved inflow of foreign exchange into the country and a positive shift in the country's external financial buffers. Interestingly, the last time Nigeria's external reserves were within this range was September 9, 2022, when they stood at $38.92 billion. At the start of the period under review, Nigeria's external reserves stood at $36.01 billion by July 19, 2024. Throughout July, reserves show steady but modest growth, ending the month at $36.79 billion by July 31st, reflecting an increase of $785 million in just under 2 weeks. The upward trajectory continued in August as reserves hit $36.83 billion by August 2nd and steadily grew to $36.87 billion by August 6th. By August 12th, the reserves stood at $36.62 billion, showing a brief drop compared to earlier figures. However, by August 31st, the reserves bounced back to $36.83 billion, demonstrating resilience and slight growth, thus adding $50 million between the end of July and the end of August. Overall, the reserves increased by $833 million in July and August, a modest 2.3% growth over 2 months. September marked a key turning point in the country's reserve buildup, beginning the month at $36.24 billion by September 2nd. Reserves saw a sustained increase throughout the month, growing from $36.24 billion by September 2nd to $38.35 billion by September 30th, a $2.11 billion jump in 1 month. The sharp rise in reserve during September reflects significant improvements in foreign exchange inflows, possibly driven by stronger oil export revenues, external borrowing, and heightened investors' interest in the country's financial markets. By the end of September, the reserves had grown by an impressive 5.8%, making it the highest month growth recorded during the 3-month period under review. In October, the positive momentum continued. The reserves, which started the month with $38.58 billion by October 2nd, grew consistently throughout the month, reaching $38.92 billion by October 17. The steady rise saw an increase of $570 million within just 2 weeks. Between October 14 and 19, the reserves experienced an increase of $129 million, reflecting the sustained inflows into Nigeria's external accounts. The mid-October reserve tally of $38.92 billion marked a high point for the country, with the reserves growing by 1.5% from the start of the month to mid-October.
And now on sports. Incumbent President of the Confederation of African Football, CAF, Patrice Motsepe, is set to retain his position as the head of the body. The CEO of the Mamelodi Sundown in 2021 emerged as president of the body after he succeeded Ahmed Ahmed. Ahead of the March 2025 election, each regional body over the weekend had their meetings, and they all endorsed Motsepe to run for a second term. Only UNAF, which consists of North African countries, decided against his return. Other regions like Sikafa, Wafu A and B, Kosafa, and UNIFAC all backed the South African business mogul. That's our news. Here's a thought for the day. Leadership is not about being the best. Leadership is about making everyone else better. To end the Delta Television main news at 8, here are the highlights. Farmers in the state have been advised to make gardens and adopt good agronomic practices in their environment. The senior project specialist, TechnoServe Nigeria, a non-governmental organization, Mr. Kasim Omiyale, gave advice during a training session on the importance of apple farming and consumption, organized for students of Martins College, Iseluku, in a Newton North local government area. The results of the receipt examination for 2024 Basic Education Certificate Examination, BECE, conducted in the state on Saturday, September 28, have been released. The Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, has promised a backup buffer system to ensure that Nigerians won't be thrown into blackout whenever the national grid collapses. And from abroad, we did report that the United Nations Humanitarian Organization, OCHA, has said over 1 million people in South Sudan have been affected by floods across much of the country. That's our news. Thank you so much for being a part of it. On behalf of the news crew, Joy Ochei is my name. Good night.